So this morning, as I was on the prayer line with my warrior sisters, right? Um, I was writing. I was writing my letter to God like I do every morning. Every morning there's a letter I write to Him, and I do my daily scriptures, and I go and look them up, and I meditate on them, and I look at them every day. There's something different. I do this every morning, right? I hadn't got to my scriptures yet because I was on the prayer line, so I always wait till I'm off the prayer line to actually get in depth into my scriptures. Of course, you see my Bible is in front of you, right? So I didn't know what today's word was gonna be until after I got off the prayer line, right? But just so happened, I love God because He is just so intentional. He's always on time when it comes to something. We was just talking about how people should want to make sure that they're straight with God before they judge others, and that they should make sure that in front of their houses and they are together. Period. And I spoke and I was like, it's so crazy that when you elevate, people will judge and talk about you. They won't make sure that in front of their doors are clean, and they won't make sure that they're together, but yet they'll have something to say about you, right? And I also went back to elaborate on how when we get ourselves together, we make sure that we are prioritizing the things that we need to do, right? First off, God is always going to be number one in every situation. We're supposed to invite Him in everything that we do. Whether it's big or small, He needs to be invited in. Um, Give Him thanks for all that He does. And make sure that you tell Him that you love Him. I don't care how many times you say it. Make sure that you give Him the praise and honor that He needs, and make sure that you let Him know that you love Him. Make sure that you always tell Him that you love Him and thank Him for everything. I mean, thank Him for everything, little, big, small, just a word. His small, still verse is always right there guiding us. And we tend to sometimes, go to another way when He tells us to do something else, but He always somehow lead us back to where we need to be. He always get us back on track. Anyways, that's off topic. I don't even know why I said that, but that's for somebody. Um. Anyways, so as I got off the prayer line and we talking about making sure that this that everything is clean, and making sure that we get ourselves together and cleaning up ourselves and making sure that we are together for God, right? I get into my scriptures this morning, and lo and behold, God is so intentional. He's so on time for everything. I got into my scripture, and guess what? Luke 6:31 and 45 talks about the very thing that we was just talking about on the line. And he says, and he spoke a parable to them. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into the ditch? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone is perfectly trained and will be like his teacher. And why do not wait? Hold on. I'm sorry. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye and do not perceive the blank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, brother, let me remove the speck that is in your eye when yourself do not see the plank that is in your own eye? Hypocrite. That's the first thing. We cannot be hypocrites. We have to make sure that we pay attention to what we're doing before we judge somebody else. Never put your mouth on somebody else. God despises of it. Make sure that you always look at what you're doing before you say something to somebody else. First, remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not bear fruit, nor does it bear. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Meaning, you can't say that you're gonna do good and you turn around and do bad. We have to be of good. God is of good. Everything that He does is good. We can't say that we gonna do good to somebody and turn right back around and do bad, do them wrong, say something wrong to them, whatever. We can't do that. That is bad, and God despises that too. Um, for men do not gather figs from thorns, and nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of good treasure, and his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of evil treasure, his heart brings forth evil. For out of abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. we cannot, um, we can't say that we forgot that we're gonna keep doing evil or we're gonna do something to somebody else. Cause how can you be a child of God and do something wrong to somebody else, right? How can you say that you want to share good cheer, you want to give good word, and you want to speak about the gospel of God if you're going to do wrong to somebody else? It just don't go hand in hand. We can't serve two masters. We have to serve one. And if and straddle on the fence is a thing. Trying to be lukewarm, that's a thing. God is calling us to get it right. We have to serve one God, and it's time to pick. It's time to pick which side you're gonna be on. It's time to decide you're gonna do good or you're gonna do bad. It ain't no time to be trying to play like, oh, I can still do bad and God is still forgive you. Yeah, He is a forgiving God. But guess what? How long do you think He gonna forgive you? That grace do run thin. Your grace do run out. It do. God doesn't have time to keep on playing with y'all and keep correcting y'all, and then you go back and do the same thing. We cannot keep going back doing the same thing after God pull us out. If you asking God to help you and to lead you and to pull you from what it is that that you done been through, and you done been through it for so long, and yet He pull you out of it. After He pull you out of it, you go back. Now what happens to you at that point? Whatever happens to you is that's your fault, right? How many times do you want God to continue to save you if you're going to keep going back doing the same thing? How you going to go talk about your brother about what he did or your sister about what she did if you doing the same thing? Check yourself before you go and judge somebody else. Don't put your mouth on them. We're not God. I'm not about to pretend to be. I am a vessel for Him. I am a child of God. I am a kingdom child. But I will not put my mouth on somebody else. I can't judge them for what they do. But I do know that you can tell good or evil. You can tell good or bad because it'll show. People tell on themselves. Your actions show who you are and whose you are. I know whose I am and whose I'm for. I know who I'm for. I know who I serve. I know where I want to be. I know where I'm going. I know one thing, that if I do something wrong, I know to go to my Father first. I know to guide Him in, like, to put Him in every situation that I deal with. He has to come first. I have to give Him that respect. And giving Him that respect is just like giving your parent that respect. If you never giving your parent the respect, or you never know how to respect an adult, then how can you respect God? Check yourself. Go evaluate yourself. Ask God to do this divine inspection on you. Ask Him to search you for anything that's not right. Ask Him to show you the way. Ask Him to show you what it is that He wants you to do. Ask Him. He's always right there. Do you know that God is with you at all times? That He's always right there. He never leaves us. When He said that He would never leave us nor forsake us, He meant it. God is everywhere. And He's an on-time God. He's a good God. He's a mighty. He's a merciful. He's a wonderful. He's a loving. He's kind. He's amazing. He's so amazing that He gave His Son for us. Ain't that? You got to be amazing to do something like that. Because how many of y'all would give up your children? How many of y'all would give up your children to save others' lives? Humble yourself. And remember, God makes no mistakes in the things that He do with us. Everything that He does is intentional. So make sure before you talk about somebody else, you check yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and see what it is that you need to correct about yourself before you go talk about somebody else. Clean in front of your door before you go sweep in front of somebody else's. I love y'all. I hope y'all the best. And I hope that y'all get it right. But until then, keep praying and keep asking God to guide you. And until next time, peace.